2 games in, you got a win and a loss. First question, do you even have a bed? Are you sleeping in a hotel? What are you doing right now?
It dawned on me yesterday, actually, how much has been accomplished and how much is still to be accomplished when I'm talking to my wife about packing the 2-year-old and the 8-month-old onto a 9-hour flight tomorrow with her parents. And I think back to her and I's first few days here, which was what seems like months ago, but was only sort of 2 weeks ago, and everything has been packed in from the perspective of both family and football, and it's been an awful lot. It's a lot to get to grips with, but yeah, I'm probably over the worst of it now, I would say.
But how difficult is that? I think for our listeners that resonates, because our listeners have jobs, they have families, they do things, but now you're moving across the world, and yet the season's already started. It's got to be difficult times for you right now, no?
Yeah, I think sometimes you feel like it's got, and this is no reflection on the club whatsoever, but more my personal circumstances and what I've chose to take on. But you're building a house in a hurricane a little bit in that sense, in that the job in itself is demanding enough, let alone moving your family halfway across the world and everything that goes with that. Obviously, we've got 2 very young children, so in some senses it's easy in that you're not extracting them from anything all that meaningful at home, but in other senses it makes it very difficult. So I'm sure once we get a couple of weeks in beyond tomorrow, we'll feel really happy here. And it's a brilliant part of the world, and it's a brilliant club, and everyone's been immensely helpful and welcoming. So I can have no complaints in that sense.
So as someone that my father played for the Minnesota Kicks, I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We moved when I was 2, but I understand the area. I love the area. My parents would have never moved if not for, his football career. What sold you on Minnesota United?
There's a few things, and you guys more than anyone will appreciate the wider context, but certainly the club in itself, I really like the stability. I really like the clarity around the hierarchy of decision making and the direction which the club wants to go. Stability in ownership and direction, as you well know, across football worldwide isn't easy to come by. So I think that firstly was really attractive. And then obviously the combination of people that I'll work with in Khaled and Sherry and Bill and the other support staff, I think is a really nice group of people to work amongst. So the club itself is really attractive. The infrastructure that you have to work within here, the level of expectation, but also I suppose the realism and how sensible the group of people that you're working with and for is something. And then more broadly, that MLS context I think is really attractive for a first-time head coach for a number of reasons that I'm sure we'll get onto as the conversation goes. But again, I've said this on a number of occasions. It feels cliche to say because I think it's talked about often in these terms in England that the MLS is moving in the right direction, that it's strengthening and blah, blah, blah. But I genuinely feel that, and I've felt that since I started researching the wider context when this opportunity first surfaced. So there's the MLS, and then there's also the football picture in general in the US in terms of the excitement and the clamour around the game, given World Cup and Club World Cup and Copa America and everything that's going to be here in the coming years. So I think for me it was a really nice alignment of the stars, nice opportunity, a really good club, as well as a context that is also really appealing and also really good for me, I think, as a first-time head coach.
I think what's interesting, Eric, is, and I've been in this league as a player, commentator for more than 20-some-odd years now, is when I particularly talk to the foreign player, and now we're seeing way more foreign front office, foreign coaches, whatever it may be, but particularly the British, whether it's English, Scottish, Irish, whatever it is, there's this misnomer about Major League Soccer, right? And I think some of it is well-deserved and well-earned. However, the Steven Gerrard, the Robbie Kings, the Didier Drogbas, the Zlatan Ibrahimovic, when they get here, they look at me, and for some other people, their eyes are wide open saying, holy shit, this is not what we expected. This is not what the rumor is or what the ideas of Major League Soccer are, particularly in England. Now that you've been here for 2.5, 3 weeks, do you understand what I'm asking? Is the misconception about Major League Soccer real, or is it just because I've been here for 20 plus years, I see those?
I think it's some lazy stereotypes that are very difficult to break, I would say, but you only need to watch one game here or do a day's worth of research on the league and the direction that it's headed to really feel that it is number one, it's a very high level competition. Purely from a sporting perspective, I've been really impressed. It's a level that I'm really excited to get my teeth stuck into. But you also get incredible infrastructure, a real professionalism, clubs that are really well staffed, really well resourced, and I think that really reflects the highest levels in Europe. So I think it's a really attractive league for a player at any stage of their career now, whereas I think probably the lazy stereotype in the UK was that it was for the aging superstar, and I think I know that the league is conscious of shifting away from that being the first thing that's associated with it, and rightly so, because I think it is genuinely a really competitive, high-level sporting product. And you've also got then wrapped around it the best of American sport, which is incomparable. I've had my first taste in the last couple of weeks of American sport at its best, with the hockey here and the college basketball and the NBA stuff. And I think the MLS really captures the best of that even in the Premier League is probably underdone, I would say. So for someone in my position, number one, the sporting stuff is the most important thing. But number two, to have that wrapped up in a really high-level media landscape and a high-level landscape from the perspective of infrastructure and interest from fans, then it's a brilliant environment to be working in.